Welcome to the Live to 110 podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Myers, and you can find me on live110.com. And here is my co-host, General Leigh Lowry.
Hi, everybody.
You can find her on generalleigh.com. That's spelled Leigh. And if you're not paying attention, she's going to kick your butt, whip you into shape. Today we are interviewing Danny Cohen, the inspirational wellness coach of motivationalwellness.com. He's going to be instructing us today on how to cultivate acceptance, gratitude, and keeping fear in perspective to create more self-love, self-esteem, and self-confidence. And I thought this was going to be a great show because one of the keys to living to 110 is cultivating self-love and acceptance of yourself and your circumstances.
This is pretty much going to be my favorite show. I'm so excited. But first, we have to do the disclaimer. Please keep in mind that this program is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease or health condition, and it is not a substitute for professional medical advice. The Live to 110 podcast is solely informational in nature. Please consult your healthcare practitioner before slathering your mug with any type of treatment that we suggest or any fitness regime that we suggest on this show.
And for all you guys, you can check out my store. It's finally up on the website. It's at live110.com/store. I've got all kinds of my favorite supplements. They're called Endomet, and they're the supplements that I take and that I prescribe to my family. I've also got several different kinds of near-infrared saunas that I highly recommend that everyone do to detox all the heavy metals and chemicals that we're exposed to in our environment today. And I also have a free contest going on. For anyone interested, you can go on the homepage of live110.com and you can sign up to win a free hair mineral analysis. So just check that out. You'll see the little link on the little graphic on my homepage.
So cool. And I am the General Leigh. You can find me at generalleigh.com. And I have an online training program. I'm based here in Los Angeles, but you can get a hold of me. And I do a very comprehensive online training program, inclusive of online training and nutrition. So you can find that on General Leigh Fitness and Nutrition through Facebook or at generalleigh.com. Okay, so Wendy, again, what is going on with that book of yours?
Well, it's actually going pretty good. I mean, right now I'm still in rewrite. I'm in the second rewrite and just trying to rework it and make it, more readable and, more compact. I tend to be long-winded. So I got to whittle this thing down. And I'm looking for a copy editor to tell me, what aspects of the book suck and that I need to edit out. But for those of you just tuning in to the Live to 110 podcast, my book is called The Modern Paleo Survival Guide, and it's going to be available on Amazon about June 1st, 2014, hopefully. Still trying to pinpoint down the publish date. But the book is about taking paleo to the next level by including the most nutrient-dense foods, including also crucial lifestyle tips in line with how our ancient bodies function optimally, and the importance of detoxing. This aspect is not found in any other paleo book, but it's crucial because you can eat the healthiest paleo diet in the world and still suffer health issues and disease if you don't detox from heavy metals and chemicals so prevalent in today's modern environment. So that's basically the book in a nutshell, and hopefully I will be done very soon because I'm over it. I want to get it out to everyone.
It's so cool. No, it's really exciting. And like you said, sometimes we need someone to come in and tell us, all right, you got really long-winded here. I wish somebody could edit me as I was talking to people, like, oh, stop, go back, reverse.
Yeah, so our guest today is Danny Cohen of motivationalwellness.com. And he is the inspirational wellness coach. And he's a fellow graduate of the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York. It's a school that I went to. And he helps women and young adults who want to regain control of their self-confidence. And he specializes in helping his clients boost their self-love, self-esteem, and self-confidence so that they can transform their bodies and live a happy, healthy life. So, Danny, I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Wendy.
Mm-hmm. So first, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and why you became a health coach focusing on motivational wellness?
Okay, well, I primarily started my business really out of passion to help those individuals who are struggling with body image, self-esteem, self-confidence, because I myself was dealing with those issues at one time. And I was really down in the dumps. I didn't know who I was. I had a lot of body image issues myself, and I just wanted to be able to give back and help those individuals develop that self-esteem, self-acceptance, and love themselves for who they are.
And what is your background? You said you were growing up, you had some health issues.
Correct. Growing up, I have cerebral palsy and I also have epilepsy. I've had epilepsy for 25 years. I grew up with cerebral palsy. So, and just about a year ago, I actually had 2 brain surgeries to help me with my seizures. And those are actually unsuccessful in the way of helping me with my seizures, but I'm actually grateful in the fact that I had those surgeries. I know that sounds a little crazy, but the outcome of that surgery, even though they were unsuccessful in the way of helping me with these seizures themselves, I do have cerebral palsy, and a very good side effect of the surgery is that it gave me more movement of my left side that I never had.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so I have not total movement of the left side, but I have a lot more movement on the left side, more mental focus, more clarity. So I'm able to do a lot more things that I wasn't able to do. And 25 years ago, and even prior to that, let's say 10 years ago, I was on a lot of medications. I did a lot of different dietary changes. I took supplements. I took this, took that. I tried to really hone in on different things to help myself. And I was also overweight. I had eventually lost 80 pounds.
Wow.
And I was happy to a point, but I wasn't really happy. I saw that the person that I was in the mirror, yeah, he lost 80 pounds and he looked good, but he really didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Because ultimately what he saw in the mirror was still a disabled person who had epilepsy. And when I started to really see that as years went by, I started to really notice that it wasn't who I was in the mirror that I was supposed to be. That was just my perception. I had to really hone in on that actual vision of, I'm Danny, I'm unique, and I'm a beautiful person. And that's really the acceptance piece. I'll go more into that later.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately why I do what I do for my clients.
And I know firsthand, it's tough, right, growing up with cerebral palsy. I had a classmate in high school who also had cerebral palsy, and it's sad. He was just such a nice guy and a good-looking guy, and he was a loner because people are not accepting of that. They're not accepting of you with open arms as they would with someone without that health issue. And I feel bad for him a lot. We were buddies and stuff like that, so I kind of know what you had to experience and kind of some of the things that you had to overcome. Definitely too. Many people are who don't have that issue are really struggle with their self-esteem and self-confidence. So I really hand it to you for finally being able to find your way to accept yourself and being able to teach this to other people.
And thank you. And that's ultimately what it is. Once you start to accept yourself, people start to see you differently. And it's not even that, because anyone can feel bad for somebody, but once you start seeing you for you, the other person's perception of you shouldn't even matter.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So how is your, you said you had a couple brain surgeries last year. How has that experience changed your perspective about life and your practice?
It's actually been huge. With those 2 brain surgeries and being unsuccessful, as I said, it really makes you look at life completely different. you start to be able to wake up every morning and smell those roses a lot sweeter than they once were. Be more grateful for every little thing that you do have and that you don't have. And it's not just for any, just because I grew up being sick, that goes for anybody. And I'm talking about this now, and I'll certainly go into more detail as we go further throughout the interview. But it's all about accepting your reality, being grateful for all those things that we do have, being even more grateful for the things that we do not have. But having those 2 brain surgeries and not being successful just made me want to move forward even further with my practice and do the things that I wanted to do for others as I'm doing now.
And that's great. I really admire your perseverance, because a lot of people would have those brain surgeries and be so discouraged and down because they weren't successful. So how do you channel that? Like, how do you help your clients discover and learn about themselves? Like, for instance, you mentioned a few things before we started the interview. Like, what are the concepts you try to teach them?
I find that the best way to learn about ourselves is to first feel every emotion. And you don't want to hide from your emotions. You want to embrace every emotion, seeing each one as an emotion. And once that person embraces all those emotions, that's when that ability to change comes through, because all those emotions are also thoughts, and thoughts can change. So if you're having a bad thought, you fully embrace that thought and that emotion, and then a light switches on. And you feel it, you embrace it, and then you make that choice to change. So if it's fear, or if it's pain, or if it's excitement, you feel all those things. And you fully just sit in them. And then you let them pass. And if it's an emotion that you want to stay with for a while, such as excitement or surprise or whatever it is, you let that stay with you. But if it's fear mainly, or pain, you feel it for a second, and then you let it go. Don't hide from your emotions, because that's the worst thing you can do. If you hide from them, that's just going to sit with you and make you even sicker. And coming from a person who has done that in the past, because my seizures are mainly brought on by stress.
Yeah.
I've always had a tendency in the past to really hold on to my emotions. And whenever I've done that, that's usually a trigger for a seizure or an episode, for anything to really come out. And when I tell people who aren't sick, if they don't feel those emotions and let them set in for a second and then just let them out, that's going to trigger something internally inside them too. Because it's going to trigger that stress response, which we're all going through whatever stress we have. But if we don't fully feel that emotion and let it out, it's going to go deeper and deeper until that stress response completely causes something in our bodies and wreak havoc on it.
That's so accurate. This is Leigh speaking, but I had the shingles, and it was based on a reaction of me not passing through feelings, really manifesting those internally. And you mentioned fear, and I truly believe that people manifest fear and vary in things, and they vary, and they don't change if they don't change their thoughts.
Yeah.
So how do you help your clients get in touch with their fears and put them into perspective?
Okay. As far as fear, most people say that fear isn't real. Fear actually is very real, and it's something that you can't ignore. So we'll have this little voice inside our head, and most of the time it's usually that negative little voice. So we go through life listening to whatever voice we have, whether it's a positive voice or a negative voice, but most often it's that little negative voice that constantly says, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do whatever it is. But if you cultivate that positive inner voice and reverse that negative subconscious and reverse it more into a positive subconscious, because that is possible. Most people think that it isn't, but we all have that positive subconscious inside of us. And breathe that positive thoughts and just allow them to come through. You'll be able to open your heart to new things, and all those things that you once thought you couldn't do, you'll be able to fully do them. And you can do them. It's all about the I can as opposed to the I can't. So it's embracing that fear, just like embracing all the other emotions, embracing that fear, embracing the I can as opposed to the I can't, and moving forward with that positive inner voice.
Really kind of getting even into an acceptance of the fear that's coming over you. You know, you kind of have to accept that emotion and then change your thought pattern and process so you can move forward with the I cans.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they really resist their emotions, negative emotions. Like they fight it. And like, for instance, they'll get depressed about being depressed. Or and when they just need to accept it, and because it will pass.
That's right.
Yeah, and I read a really amazing book a long time ago called The Other 90%. And it talked about how most people, our brains are just automatically trained as a survival mechanism from, caveman times, that our brains are trained to focus on problems and solve them because this is essential for survival.
Yeah.
And so you kind of almost have to like retrain your brain to not focus on problems, but focus on what you do have and having gratitude and things like that, because your brain just automatically goes there. And I think when you have awareness of that, you really do have the power to shift your thinking into a more positive mode.
Yeah, that's extremely true, because your subconscious is such a powerful thing, and it's always running. It never stops. So it's usually our subconscious, it tends to rely on past experiences. We all have those past experiences that are always gnawing away at us. And a lot of us tend to live in the past. And these are the things that I always talk with people about. When you're always living in that past moment, it's not what the past is about. It's about being in the present moment. It's about being now. Learning from your past. You don't want to forget your past, because your past is a great teacher. You want to learn from whatever the past taught you, and then using those tools in the present moment.
So like, taking the lessons from the past forward, but not reliving the past lessons kind of thing.
Right. You don't want to regret as well, because regretting what happened, then you're just going to further bring more of those emotions deep down inside and bring more of that stress out as well. Because you did what you did. Be happy that you did it. It's done. It's over with. Be over with it. Don't regret. Because the more that you regret, the more those feelings and that hurt and that pain and whatever other emotions start harping down on you, start to dig deeper into your heart and into your soul, and make you that much more of a bitter, sicker person. And that's no good either. So never regretting, never living in the past. You want to live in the moment, which is today.
Yeah, ever since I read Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, because I was, addicted to Oprah at one time. She was like hawking that Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. And, I've become very present of living in the now and trying not to dwell on the past or even the future, because people can get very obsessed with what's going to happen. Is it going to be bad? Is it going to be okay? Am I going to be fine? And so how do you teach this really powerful lesson to your clients?
Well, what I do every morning is I wake up, and I always wake up with a smile on my face. And if I can't wake up with a smile on my face, but let's say I had a bad, being that I do still have episodes. So if I have a seizure the night before and I don't feel like smiling, I usually try and remember a thought, a positive thought, or something that happened from the night before that happened that was good, and bring that up, and it makes me smile. Or I watch something good on television to make me to bring me to that moment instead of reliving a negative past. It's about bringing yourself to the now, because it's always good to remember those positive past moments. It's okay to do that. But it's not good to live in your past, is what I'm saying.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you could bring those positive past moments to your present and keep reliving those, that's what I normally would do, and that's what I normally would tell people to do as well. If they can't bring up something positive in that moment, bring up a positive past moment. But what I normally do for myself is I wake up every morning with a smile on my face. I meditate on certain things, whether it be on love or success or peace or gratitude, whatever it is. There are so many different ways that I try and bring myself to the moment.
Yeah, I think cultivating an attitude of gratitude is, something that, I personally try to work on every day and try to refocus my brain on what I do have rather than what I don't have. And some days are easier than others. Like today, Leigh and I are looking out the window and there's a pod of dolphins swimming by.
It's amazing.
So we're having a great podcast today. Just relaxing, watching the dolphins. There's another one. There's more over there.
It's wild.
And it's about noticing those little things, whether it be the dolphins or the birds outside your window. Noticing all those little things and allowing that present moment light that little spark inside of you and make you happy.
Mm.
Make you notice all the beautiful things in your life right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's about what's today. It's not what will be tomorrow. It's not what it was yesterday. It's about what's today.
Yeah, right now.
Right.
It's funny. I've mentioned on the podcast that I'm a sober woman, and I was a woman who didn't exercise for 10 years of my life and was overweight. And it's so interesting to me to find somebody who has such different circumstances, but yet it's a parallel when it comes to the solution to our problems. It's really amazing to hear that, because your problems and the things that were seen as problems before that now you have accepted and gone forward with, are so different than my set of circumstances, but it's just amazing that the solution is the same base. And I think acceptance in life is so important. Our circumstances, our body. How do you teach your clients to accept themselves?
Okay. And I started talking about this earlier on in the podcast, and I said I would further elaborate on this. So for many years I struggled with that particular concept about acceptance of my life and what it was about. So I was heavy when I was young, and I was also, obviously I'm physically disabled, and I have a seizure disorder, but I never accepted it. And when I lost that 80 pounds, I did feel great to a point, but when I looked in that mirror and I still saw a physically disabled person who had a seizure disorder, I felt broken.
Mm.
I was disabled, I was bullied, and I was alone. And this continued on for many years. And then I had a very life-altering situation. As a matter of fact, in September 10th of 2010, I had a succession of seizures that was brought on by stress. And that was really a kick in the ass, pardon the pun.
Yes. I like cursing on the podcast.
Okay, but it really was. It was just out of the ordinary for me to go through something like that. And so when I went through that and the doctors told me that this is what it was caused from, and then obviously this is what led to having those seizures last year, having the surgeries last year, I started to realize that this is who I am. I'm unique. I might have a physical disability, but I'm healthy. I might have seizures, but I can still walk. I can still breathe. I can still, see the things outside my window, and I can still hear the birds chirping. I have to be grateful and accepting of all of those things. And unique is a beautiful thing. We're all unique in our own way, and unique is beautiful.
Yes, it is. Amen.
So once you start to realize and see that you're unique and know that unique is a beautiful thing, you can really start to let that set in and accept you for you. You can look in the mirror and notice all of your flaws and see that all of your flaws make you that unique, beautiful person. And that's just it. I mean, it's just, such an amazing thing, So when I just want to make everybody aware of that, that unique is such an awesome quality to have, and it's such an awesome thing to be.
Yeah, and who knows if you hadn't had your life experiences and your health issues, that you wouldn't have become a health coach. Many times we have to have some sort of health crisis, and then people gravitate towards being nutritionists or health coaches and whatnot. So it made you who you are.
Right. I was actually certified as a nutritionist about 10 years ago. And I became a health coach in 2010. So, I've been in the health field probably about 15 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I really didn't know where I was going with it because of my mindset and because of all the other things that were going on in my life. And then when I got certified as a health coach in 2010, that's obviously when I had the succession of seizures and everything else happen. And then last year, when I truly when my life came full circle, after the surgeries and all the other things happened, that's when I was able to fully focus on what I wanted to do with my practice. And it was to teach other people, especially women and young adults, in particular, because working with young adults is really, I hold that near and dear to my heart because I was a kid who was bullied once. And to work with those children who are dealing, whether it be with physical disabilities or not, just kids who are in school and just going through a rough time, who have that low self-esteem and self-confidence. I really wanted to give that back to them and let them know that it's okay to be who you are. And last year when I went through those successions of surgeries and everything else, that has given me now the ability to do that. So, it's really been great for the past year and being able to build a business now that I wasn't able to build 10 years ago and even 3 years ago when I first got certified as a health coach. So I'm eternally grateful for all the things that have happened.
I have a question I like to ask all of my guests. What do you think is the most pressing health issue in the world today?
Stress. That's huge. It's a killer. I mean, there's heart disease, there's cancer, there's a lot of other things, autoimmune issues that come up. But stress, which can lead to all those things, is a big thing. And we can't hide from stress, but we can manage it. And when we learn how to manage our stress levels, what I normally, and I'm huge on telling people this, I tell everyone to relax. Yeah. And I say it sometimes a little too often, but if we can all just relax and breathe, take a couple of deep breaths when we're in a situation that we just seem that we can't handle, we know that we can. Things just seem to kind of go away. And stress, which is a killer and causes all those underlying problems, such as high blood pressure, heart disease, and all the other underlying causes of autoimmune issues and whatnot. Whether all the inflammatory issues, I mean, in terms of that. If you could manage your stress levels, you'd be a much happier and healthier person.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think a lot of things I tell my clients as well is that, of course, stress kills, but I think a lot of people don't understand exactly why, exactly what that mechanism is. And it's basically when we're in our sympathetic nervous system mode, when it's called sympathetic dominance, that's when we're in our fight or flight mode.
Right.
We're releasing adrenaline, our adrenals are getting overworked, and we're stressed out. It's when you're thinking really fast and you have a million things to do and you're going. And when you're in that mode, you can't digest your food effectively and you can't detox. Yeah. That's why you have to relax and sleep more and whatnot, get 8 hours of sleep a night, because that switches your body into the parasympathetic mode where you're able to digest your food and able to detox. And if you're always in the sympathetic mode, stress, fight, or flight, your body can't detox and you just spend years accumulating heavy metals and toxins. Your body's not able to get rid of it, and you eventually suffer malnutrition because your body isn't able to digest its food. And those two things are the killers. That's when we start developing they're the basis of all these diseases of Western affluence.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I totally agree with you. It's a huge one. Yeah. So can you tell the listeners more about you and where they can find you?
Sure. Well, they can go ahead to my website at motivationalwellness.com, and if they'd like to learn more about my services and what I do, and also sign up for a Be Beautiful, Be You strategy session, I certainly welcome that.
And what is that?
Be Beautiful, Be You is a new program that I'm setting up, and what I do with that program is we set up, and we go into detail where we can fully strategize your life and allow you to bring more passion, more love, and more gratitude into your daily life. And that's ultimately what I love to do with my clients. I want to be able to give them that passion, give them that spark back, and allow them to develop more of that daily gratitude into their lifestyles, more of that self-love. So with that Be Beautiful, Be You strategy session, I allow them to go into detail, and we can break that down into more steps to be able to work with you and developing that practice. And that can be found on my website, motivationalwellness.com. I also do have a free offer on my website, and that can be found at tinyurl.com, Danny-free-gift. As well, you can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/motivational wellness.
Well, Danny, thank you so much for coming on the show. Your story is truly inspirational, and how you've overcome so much adversity and now share your knowledge and your teachings about self-love with others. And I have to say, I really respect that you have triumphed and refused to give up, and help others to tap into their self-esteem and their self-confidence, because I think that's one of the number one things people struggle with, especially young adults, even young adults that are attractive and that do have a lot going for them are still struggling with that, finding their identity. I know myself, I struggled with that probably till I was 30, at least, or longer. And so I think it's really great that you're focusing in on this niche.
Thank you.
And everyone, if you want to learn all about detoxification, the modern paleo diet, or healing your health conditions naturally, go check out my site, live to110.com. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter at I Will Live to 110. And I'm also on YouTube at Wendy Live to 110. And today, actually, Leigh and I are going to be filming our first cooking segment. We're going to be making chicken broth today, because I want to start, getting some recipes and some videos on how to make healthy modern paleo food, in preparation for my book publication around June 1st of the Modern Paleo Survival Guide. So I want to help you guys be able to implement the principles in the book and with how to cook healthy food.
It's going to be fun today. And if you want to find out more about me, go to generalleigh.com, or you can find me on Facebook at General Leigh Fitness and Nutrition, and lastly on Instagram at Jen Leigh. And if you like what you heard on the show today, please give the Live to 110 podcast a review on iTunes. We really need your reviews, and we would love them. So please send a positive review for us.
Yes, please take 2 seconds to go do that right now. Just open iTunes, search for Live to 110, and write that review. Because we need that to get in the search engines so that more people can hear our words, so we can spread our gospel about living healthy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Remember, you have to learn to accept yourself and have an attitude of gratitude to live to 110. So, Danny, thank you so much again for being on the show.
Thank you.
And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Live to 110 podcast.